Good morning and welcome to another edition of Toolbox Tuesday. Today we're going to be talking about grinders, so portable angle bench and pedestal grinders. My name is Joanne Davis and I'm a safety advisor at the Regina office for the Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get this presentation toolbox going for you. Okay, so let's first start with portable grinders. This is a grinder that is handheld power tool used for grinding, which is abrasive cutting and polishing. Although developed originally as a tool for rigid abrasive discs, the availability of an interchangeable power source has encouraged their use with a wide variety of cutters and attachments. Angle grinders can be powered by an electric motor or compressed air. The way they work is the motor drives a geared head at a right angle on which is mounted an abrasive disc or thinner cut it off disc, either of which can be replaced when worn. Angle grinders typically have an adjustable guard and a side handle for two-handed operations. Certain angle grinders, depending on their speed range, can be used as sanders, employing a sanding disc with a backing pad or disc. Angle grinders are standard equipment in metal fabrication shops and construction sites. They are also common in machine shops along with die grinders and bench grinders, which we will talk about a little later. When it comes to uses, angle grinders may be used for removing excessive material from a piece. There are many different kinds of discs that are used for various materials and tasks, such as cut-off disc, which are diamond blade, abrasive grinding disc, grinding stones, sanding discs, wire brush wheels, and polishing pads. The angle grinder has large bearings to counter side forces generated during cutting, unlike a power drill where the force is axial. Angle grinders are widely used in metalworking and construction, as well as in emergency rescue. They are commonly found in workshops, service garage, auto body repair shops as well. There are a large variety of angle grinders to choose from when trying to find the right one for the job. The most important factor in choosing the right grinders are the disc size and power of the motor. Other factors include power source, pneumatic or electric, RPM, and arbor size. Generally, disc size and power increase together. When it comes to the discs, disc size usually measured in inches or millimeters. Common size discs for angle grinders in North America include 4, 4.5, 5, 6, 7, 9, and 12 inches. Discs for pneumatic grinders also come much smaller. Pneumatic grinders are generally used for light-duty jobs where more precision is required. Electric grinders are more commonly used for larger, heavy-duty jobs. However, there also can be small electric grinders and large pneumatic grinders. Through a sound pressure level and vibration study conducted by the National Institute of Occupational Health and Safety, grinders under an unloaded condition range from 91 to 103 decibels. In addition, angle grinders produce sparks when cutting various materials. They can also produce shards, cutting other materials. The blades themselves may also break. This is a great hazard to the face and eyes, especially as well as other parts of the body. And such full face shields and other protective clothing should be worn. At least a pair of safety glasses. Angle grinders should never be used without their guard or handle attached. There are necessary precautionaries for safety. All work should be securely clamped and firmly in a vise. So sound hazards, obviously eye face hazards, and cutting hazards come with using grinders. Let's talk about risk control measures. Consider whether an angle grinder is actually the best tool to perform the task, because other tools may be just as or even more effective. When purchasing grinders, choose one which has adjustable handles that can be moved to suit both left and right-handed operators. Choose a grinder that has an automatic cutoff or dead man switch as part of the hand grip. This is designed to cut off power as soon as the finger pressure is released. Automatic cutoff switches may not be available in smaller models and may not be practical for certain tasks. Do not use a grinder that is larger or heavier or more powerful than unnecessary, as it is much easier to control a lighter tool. Guards must not be removed. The guard should cover half the disc and be positioned between the disc and the operator. Ensure the correct type of disc is used for the task being performed. The wrong disc could shatter or grab the workpiece, causing kickback. When using grinder fitted with a cutting disc, keep the depth of the cut to no more than double the disc thickness, and avoid plunging the disc too far through the piece of work, the workpiece. Provide operators with training and instructions in safe work procedures for angle grinders as well. Provide one-on-one supervision for workers receiving training in the use of angle grinders or people who are unfamiliar with their use. You can also use welding screens to stop other workers from being hit by flying particles and sparks. Ensure all workers maintain safe distance from any person who is in the process of grinding. Ensure all grinders are regularly checked for electrical safety and that all defects are repaired by a competent person. So prior to use, you want to ensure that the guard and handles are secure, that there are no defects or damage to the discs. This can happen if it's been dropped. Okay, you do need to check the disc for cracks. The correct flange and locking nut is in place for the type of disc being used. Otherwise, the disc could shatter at high speeds. You want to make sure that the tightening tool supplied by the grinder manufacturer is used when tightening the disc, as other methods can damage the disc or the grinder. The correct disc diameter and central disc hole size for the spindle is used for the correct type of disc, and that is used for an example, a grinding disc for grinding and cutting disc for cutting. You want to make sure you use the right disc for the right operation. Correct type of disc is used for material being cut or ground. During use, the following suggested safe practices when angle grinders is in use. Use two hands to operate the grinder. One hand should grip the handle and dead man switch, if provided, while the other supports the weight of the tool. Allow the grinder to run up to operating speed before applying it to the job. Hold the grinder against the workpiece with a minimum pressure so the disc does not grab and cause kickback. Never bump the grinder into an object or let the disc hit another object while grinding. Keep the grinding disc at a 15 to 30 degree angle to the object. Ensure that the workpiece is held firmly as either part of a large item or bench vise. Where possible, keep the work at waist height during grinding. Adopt a comfortable stance with feet apart so you feel well balanced. Ensure that you have a clear view of the job. Never use grinder between your legs while sitting on the floor. Stop at regular intervals for short breaks to rest your hands and arms. Never put a grinder down until the disc stops rotating. Remove the plug from the power point before changing discs. Never use a cut disc for grinding or a grinding disc for cutting. When not in use, disconnect power and place a grinder on a bench with the disc facing upwards. Let's talk about PPE. It is recommended to use appropriate personal protective equipment, which includes CSA rated goggles or safety glasses with a face shield, ear muffs or ear plugs or both, safety boots with steel-toed caps, overall or other fitted clothing, well-fitted cut-resistant gloves that allow for good grip of the tool. Okay, next here we do have a video which is going to show a disc that is going to burst. It has been notched to keep the tester safe when striking the disc with a piece of steel. This would be no different than if a blade would get chipped during the use and explodes while it contacts steel while using it. So we'll take a look at this video here.
We got something. Nice. Imagine if this was your face. So 1, 2, 3, 4 got out of the way, and they were like here, 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 and here. I mean, just here, 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 and here. Or maybe 2 there and 2 here. Yeah, I think, well, we'll see it in the slow-mo.
Okay, so in that video, you see if there's any defect in your disc and then it applied, and then it goes in to touch another piece of material, it could explode. I also do want to mention when it does come to discs, and if they do explode, that is a dangerous occurrence according to legislation and does need to be reported and investigated. Okay, let's move on to bench and pedestal grinders. They're a little bit different. Okay, so bench grinder is a bench type grinding machine used to drive abrasive wheel. A pedestal grinder is similar or a larger version of a grinder that is mounted on a pedestal, which may be bolted to the floor or may sit on rubber feet. These type of grinders are commonly used in hand grinding various cutting tools and performing other rough grinding. Depending on the bond and grade of the grinding wheel, it may be used for sharpening cutting tools such as tool bits, drill bits, chisels, and gouges. Alternatively, it may be used for rough shaping metal prior to welding or fitting. Some of the different wheels you use, a wire brush wheel or a buffing wheel can be interchanged with a grinding wheel in order to clean or polish work pieces. Stiff buffing wheels can also be used when deburring is a task at hand. Some buffing machines are built on the same concept as bench grinders, except for larger housing and arbors when buffing wheels instead of grinding wheels. Bench grinders are standard equipment that you're going to find in metal fabrication shops, machine shops, as are handheld grinders as well. Wheels come with maximum RPM rating printed on their label. The grinder RPMs must be equal or lower to the maximum operating speed indicated on the wheel tag and must never exceed. Greatly overspeeding a grinding wheel makes it explode, which can injure, kill the operator like a gunshot wound. When it comes to material, typical wheels on most bench grinders are vitreous bond wheels. They work best to do their intended task, but they inherently have a task of cracking. Grinding wheels are designed for steel, are not meant to be used for grinding softer metals like aluminum. When you look at the left and right pictures that we have, can you tell which material is which? Okay, they can look similar. You do need to be trained and understand which materials you're using. It's important to know everything about your tools and material on the job. So sides of a wheel versus periphery. Grinding is prohibited on the side of a typical disc-shaped bench grinder wheel, which is designed for grinding on the periphery only. Risk of wheel explosion otherwise threatens. Some tools and cutter grinders have cup-shaped wheels designed to do grinding on the side. It's going to be equipped with the tool rest. The tool rest needs to be tightened to within 2 to 3 millimeters of the wheel, which is a 1/16 to an 1/8. This prevents the workpiece from slipping down between the wheel and the tool rest. The spark arrestor catches stray sparks. Grinding is usually done with the workpiece resting on the tool rest. This prevents sudden slips in which the wheel could grab the work momentarily and yank it out of the operator's hand or pull the hand towards the wheel. You can see by the picture here that there are safety gauges available to ensure that you do not exceed the dimensions previously stated. The wheel guard serves as an interceptor to the fragments of an exploding wheel, keeping them from killing people or damaging surroundings, and as well as injuring people. This is why Running a grinder without a guard is prohibited. Grinding metals on a power-driven grinding wheel quickly heats up the workpiece. Most bench grinders are often the dry type, in which no cutting fluid or coolant is used at the grinding interface. But often the workpiece is recurrently dunked into a pan or pot of water for cooling so as to keep it from getting hot enough to lose its temper, burn the operator's hand, or both. Dressing. Dressing removes the loading and breaks away the glazing surface so that the sharp abrasive particles are again presented to the work. So this is when you want to dress the wheel, the disc here. This is done with various types of dressers. Dress the wheel regularly. Do frequent light dressings rather than a heavy dressing. Support dressing tools so you can apply leverage without undue effort. With revolving cutter dressing tools, use the lugs as anchors. Replace worn wheels if you cannot dress it. Ensure the grinder speed does not exceed the operating speed marked on the wheel. Visually inspect the wheel for possible damage before mounting. So this is just regular maintenance you're going to have to do to your wheels. So what safety procedures should you follow when using a bench and pedestal grinder? Well, you want to fasten the pedestal and bench grinders on a solid surface securely. Ensure that the guards are in place and secured before using the grinder. Adjust tool rest to within 3 millimeters, which is 1/8 of an inch of the wheel. Never adjust the rest while the wheels are moving. Work rest height should be at the horizontal center line of the machine spindle. Maintain 6 millimeters, which is 1/4 inch, wheel exposure with a tongue guard or movable guard. Check that the wheels have blotters on each side. Check that the wheel fits properly to the spindle when mounting. If it's loose, get another wheel. Tighten the nuts before you turn the grinder on. Also, before you plug in the grinder, manually spin the wheel to make sure that it spins freely. Make sure that the cables are not damaged or in good condition. Keep the cables out of the work area and wear proper personal protective equipment, which would include eye, ear, and face protection, metatarsal safety boots where required, and respiratory protection may be required depending on the work being done as well. Wear gloves only where necessary and if there's no risk of entanglement. Stand to one side of the grinder until the wheel reaches operating speed. Bring the work into contact with the grinder wheel slowly and smoothly without bumping. Apply gradual pressure to allow the wheel to warm up evenly. Use only the pressure required to complete the job. Move the work back and forth across the face of the wheel. This movement will prevent gouges from forming. Wheels are made only for grinding certain items. Do not grind rough forging on small precision grinding wheels. Things that you need to avoid. Do not plug the grinder in before making sure that the wheel is stable and secure properly. Do not use a wheel that has been dropped. Do not use a wheel that does not fit properly on the spindle. Do not use excessive force to tighten the nut of the wheel. The force can actually crack the wheel. Do not grind wood, plastic, or non-iron metals on an ordinary wheel. Do not leave grinding wheels standing in liquid. The liquid can cause balance problems. Do not grind on the side of a regular wheel. Okay, so that concludes our presentation on grinders. So we have our angle grinders and bench grinders that we talked about today. I want to thank you for joining us, and please come back and join us next week for another edition of Toolbox Tuesday. Thank you.